And of course, a big, sincere love and kisses to all our sponsors. We do, don't we, Paulie? Appreciate their support. We do.
They pay us.
Confirmation, we have to. Absolutely. Fantastic game in the offing. I mean, they don't come much bigger than this, do they, really? Because for one side, it's curtains for season 95. For the other, of course, they advance down the road to the grand final next weekend. Plenty to play for. Port Melbourne Sharks, Bulleen Lions. Who's it going to be? Let's head back to the sun-drenched Chaplin Reserve in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Join Paulie and I, second half action.
Looking down the line for the run from White. This is danger here. Svigos is in and over. So quick off his line. And Patterson away off the thigh, only as far as Dean Fack. Port certainly looking more forward thinking this half as Palmeiras won it in the air.
Georgiadis steps over the tackle, knocks it long. Papadopoulos on the left boot right across the face of goal. Didn't know he had that much time, stabbed at it first time.
Throw into Port. Dimitrelos. Still not clear. Shot! Not bad effort either from Aguirre.
Yeah, he really gummed that one, didn't he?
Selves back to Rusmir on that left foot. Tried the shot, fell to a teammate though. Still not cleared. Liparotti's up. Again, Liparotti with a chance to clear. Doesn't do it though. Rusmir. Sustained pressure from the Port Melbourne side. Aguirre. Palmeiras. Just over the bar by Nick Palmeiras.
Up anyway. And Hidlutkins throw again. Svigos knocks it in. And Olver takes it on the chest. The touch on from Salsas. He got a foot to it, but Jeffrey Olver stood his ground.
Outside of the foot. Well read by his opposing sweeper, Palmeiras. Still Palmeiras forward. Svigos. Palmeiras stays forward. And Valentic forced there to clear the ball any way he could, and he chose to hoof it behind the goal for a corner.
Players static in the penalty area. This time, Liparotti. Again, almost from the corner position. Olver can't reach it. Chance off the line by Frank Valentic. But I'm afeared that we're heading to an extra 20 minutes. Salsas jumps the tackle. Top of the box, left foot, stabs at it. Good stop, Olver. Keep of some renown. Sava Rusmir picks ball up midfield for the Sharks. Aguirre overlaps on the right. Has to turn back inside under pressure. Sees the option in Papadopoulos. He'll loft that one far post. Svigos is there. Dolly's the header. Driven over the crossbar by Georgiadis.
This is perfect setting for Bulleen. We're into stoppage time. All the big men forward. Lenettis with the corner. Is there a last gasp effort here? Not far away at all.
Patterson it was.
By Scott Patterson. Bulleen kick off in the first half of extra time. 10 minutes each way. Something has got to give between these two sides. Lutkins back up to a central attacking role. Bulleen playing the same way as they were in the second half of normal time. Oh, great little move. Sonsini! 2 grabs from Anastasiadis, but Sonsini powered one in. And it's Port Melbourne with the free kick. Plenty forward for them. Palmeiras is up. Flicked on, over. Took it in spectacular fashion. There was no attacking Port Melbourne player near him though. Liparotti forward. Clever ball. Lutkins across. Liparotti! Hits the post! It wasn't across the line.
Look, that was
unbelievable.
The most remarkable goalkeeping from Dean Anastasiadis.
Last chance for either side. 10 minutes remain. And if there is no separating these two teams, we're in for a penalty shootout. The legs are tied. The desire to win hasn't diminished from either side. That's plain for all to see. There are gaps appearing as well in each defence. Good corner at the far post there. It was Dale White, unmarked. Still not cleared away. The height of Bulleen causing problems. Anastasiadis away by Kyriakopoulos.
Krajicic spears it to half field. Go back. Patterson pressured. The big Lipper. Dale White. Lipperotti again dangerous. Moving forward this time. Can't get the clear pass away. Back interrupts the flow, but the Lions will come again. Scott Patterson launches it, far post. Lanettis with the leap. Arguru in front. Knocked away. Kyriakopoulos. Toltzis, one of his rare touches. Knocks it round the corner. Pasakos, the substitute. Knocks the pass. Seltzis, here's the danger. Couldn't control it. He'll have to run it deep, knock it back. Over palms it up into the air into no man's land. And luckily, Scott Patterson was aware of the danger, and he honed in on Olver's errant skyward ball. Valentic clear, only as far as Papadopoulos. Knocks it inside Georgiadis, looks up, goes again, pressure, short. Svigos, great take, Jeffrey Olver. Finally elected to assert his authority in the goal mouth. Charged off the line and swept the ball from the feet of the Port Melbourne attackers.
Around 15 seconds on the clock. It would be heartbreaking to concede a goal now.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
And it's not going to happen. And
scoreless and down to penalties.
comes up. He's missed it. Great save by Anastasiadis.
That was a tired-looking effort from Peter Lutkin.
Solid penalty. No sign of hesitation or nerves.
They have been solid too, haven't they, in the contest? Valentic. And just Anastasiadis. He got the index finger and the thumb to that. Taking a penalty in the shootout situation. Anastasiadis, a giant of a man, casts a long shadow to Mean Dean.
Packs a punch. Oh, saved it! Great save. Full time. Anastasiadis ready. Dale White. Comfortable penalty. Arguru. Another one off the post.
Well, they're riding their luck Port, but scored 4-5.
And Scott Patterson knows he must score this to keep his team in the game.
They stay alive if he scores.
On the left foot, Scotty Patterson. Very cool, very calm, and very successful. Closer and closer to your turn. Palomares. Saved! And over has put Bulleen with 1 foot in the grand final.
No more experienced Premier League player on the park today than Robbie Krajicic. He can win it for Bulleen and avenge the preliminary final of 12 months ago, and he does!
And Bulleen are in the final.
Bulleen are going back to the big ball game, and in the most extraordinary scenario you might ever have imagined, Port Melbourne's best ever season in the history of the Victorian Premier League ends with 2 finals defeats. And surely there can be no more tragic story than that of Port Melbourne's
And looking ahead to the final now, Altona Magic next week at Olympic Park. Frank Valentic will be suspended. Giaccherini, what's the chances of him coming back?
I'm not sure. I think Giaccherini's probably a 50-50 chance at this stage, but he'll be given a chance until Saturday to prove himself. And if he's fit, more than likely he'll probably fit in for Frank Valentic at that on the right-hand side.
And I've got to ask you this: have you been practicing your penalties in the last 2 or 3 weeks?
We have at the club, and funnily enough, I was just telling the boys, we've been taking the penalties, and I've missed every time. So now that it came up to the real stuff, yeah, I've tucked it away nicely. But yeah, for the last 2 weeks, I haven't been able to put one away at training at all.
You got the main one, and that's all that counts.
Oh yeah, when the pressure's on, it always counts.
All right, Rob, well done. Congratulations. We'll see you next week in the final.
Thanks a lot.
All the best.
No worries, bye.
So that's the way it happened at the Chaplin Reserve yesterday under darkening western suburban skies. It was the demise of the Port Melbourne Sharks, remarkable in the context of the season. They'd been compelling entertainment and clearly the most successful team in the league. But now Bulleen, in a reversal of last year's preliminary final, advanced to meet Altona Magic next week. We'll talk about the grand final later, but first of all, it's time for Paulie's very public pulling. And I know we always look forward to this segment. Paulie,
I certainly do.
off you go, son.
Sorry, Port Melbourne. Your time is up. Nice shirt.
It is a nice shirt. And it's a little bit sad too, Paul.
It is.
I know you're handling. Last week we piffed the Sunshine jersey down, but you want to treat this with a bit of reverence because they have actually, in all sincerity, Port Melbourne been fantastic. But how do you explain what happened during the final series?
Well, I don't know. Often we see in sports. I remember to talk about another sport, the AFL, a couple of years ago. The West Coast Eagles, were unbeatable throughout the year, but lost the final series. We've seen it on a regular basis. I can't explain it, Laurie. Takis Figos will be analysing this well and truly for probably the next 12 months until Port Melbourne make next year's finals. Can you put your finger on anything that...
Jeff Olver.
Jeff Olver?
Jeff Olver.
Was the difference?
He beat them, I think. Well, he made some very good saves during play and also, of course, in the penalty shootout. But let's not forget that in the second half of the game, Bulleen had one single shot at goal. And that was in the 89th minute, and that was by Scott Patterson. And yet Port Melbourne had chances galore in that second half. Yeah. Just have a look at some of them. Papadopoulos, Palomares, Saltis, Swingos, Saltis again, and Georgiadis. So they had their chances.
But Schwabby, isn't that really a little bit academic? Because
well, they lost. Yeah,
exactly. Sure. I mean, you talk about it sounds like that coach speak, doesn't it? John, is if we'd have taken our chances, we'd won, or blah blah blah. But the bottom line is that Port Melbourne's blitz all season had the most successful regular season on record, and blown it when it counted most. Were they psychologically perhaps dented after getting beaten by Altona Magic last weekend?
Well, I think it's got a lot to do with Peter Ollerton. I think the Port Melbourne teams always have a bad time against Ollie's, the teams that he coaches. He seems to be able to bring out the tactics to stop the front runners of Port Melbourne firing. Saltis was never sighted for long periods of the game, and I think that was what happened. Tactically, Peter Ollerton is very clever, and he can shut down the players that matter. I mean, the only player he never shut down for Port Melbourne was Dean Fack, and only because he was playing in defence. When Port Melbourne needed the strikers, at this crucial stage of the season, they weren't to be found, and playing too far apart. And sometimes the midfield was putting the ball, so high in the air, it was easy for Liparotti and Krajicek to just win the ball and control it, and that's it. So Port Melbourne, blunt up front, you could say, blunt.
And Chiakos as well had a very good game in defence.
Yeah, very good.
And these, of course, these blokes that are firing, you're talking about the man markers, the markers like Chiakos, you've got the new boy Liparotti, you've got Tommy Sonsini, Frank Valentic. These were the guys that actually launched Bulleen's championship bid in '93. And for these blokes to be playing so well under a very, very good coach in Peter Ollerton,
that's right.
Proven track record, it looks a little bit ominous perhaps for Altona Magic.
I'm sticking with the Western Suburbs team. It's my region of Melbourne, and I'm going for Altona Magic.
You just wonder whether Peter Ollerton's been playing the psychological game with everyone, because since the final series started, he's been saying, we can't win from fourth place. And, they've beaten Albion, they've beat Sunshine, and now they've beaten Port Melbourne.
I mean, is he sneaking up on people? Is he getting under their guard, do you think?
I think he is. That's the way Ollie plays the game, and he's been in the game a long time. You know, 74 World Cup guy. He knows all the tricks of the trade, and he knows just what statements to make to the press. He never goes outrageous. He never plays it down too much. He just says that we're a chance, half a chance. And unlike Laurie, I'll come from the eastern suburbs. I don't think Laurie's been over the Yarra for that many years. I'm going to go for.
I think he fell into it one time.